Okay, so we have seen the class number 1 that is covered now. Now in class number 2, in this file, we have to talk about, so we have seen what is constant, what is variable, how to create constant, how to create variables, what are the identifiers, how to create a valid identifiers, valid name, the certain rules, okay? After that, the next topic is what? Expressions. Okay, what is expressions, what is statements, what is block, what is identification, what is comment. So we will see all these one by one. Okay, so first thing is there are two important thing concept is called expressions and statements. Okay, so in Python, actually as a programmer, you are learning how to write a valid statements. Okay, so programming is nothing but a lot of statements. Let's suppose if you're writing a is equal to 10, b is equal to 20, and c is equal to a plus b, and print c. So each line is a kind of statement. For example, here I'm writing this a is equal to 10. So this is one statement. Okay. If I'm writing a for block, so don't worry about the syntax right now. We will cover later what is syntax. So here what I'm trying to explain here is whatever you're writing, any statement, anything. For example, a is equal to 10. So this is a statement. If I'm writing this code for a in range 10 and a is equal to I, whatever. So this is a statement. So everything is a statement. Okay. For example, length Python, this is a statement. These are all statements. So actually, as a programmer, you're learning how to write a valid statement. Okay. So programming is all about writing multiple statements. It's a full of statements. So statements can be anything. You can, whenever writing a valid statement according to Python rules, so it's called statements. Okay. So, and what is expression then? So actually statements and expression are almost same. There's no much difference. Only there's a very minute difference, very basic difference is what? Expression is what? It's a group of operators, operand, variables, function calls, and they always give some result. Okay, so this is the basic difference between statements and expressions. So expression is also kind of statements. Okay, but expression, what happens once you run once you execute the expressions, it give you values. For example, let me give some example. For example, if I'm writing a is equal to 10, okay, you wrote this statement, you wrote this line, and you try to run it. If you execute it, you can see it is not producing any result immediately, right? You can see there's no result. So it's a statement. So if you're writing in a statement, then after running it, after execution, it will not produce any valid result immediately. Okay. But let's suppose if I write like this, 10, only if I write 10 in the program, only 10. If you run this, it will give you some result. 10. It is saying 10. Okay. If I write 10 plus 20, it will produce 30. So this is called expressions. Okay, so expressions are it's a kind of statement. It is also a statement. Okay, it's a kind of statement. It's a special kind of statements. But once you run the expressions, it will produce the result immediately. Okay, but if I say same thing, let's suppose if I do this way, a is equal to 10. Here I'm okay. Here what I did, I'm adding two numbers, right? You can see I'm adding two numbers, 10 and 20. But the approach is different. Now, let's suppose I'm adding these two numbers like in this fashion. A is equal to 10, B is equal to 20. Okay. And C is equal to A plus B. Like this. Okay. A is equal to B. So these are statements. So if you run this, it will not give any result immediately. You can see it is not producing any value. Okay. So these are statements. So statements are those things which you can write it and you can execute it, but after execution, it will not give you result immediately. Okay. If you want to get the result, then you have to write an expression. For example, if I say only C, okay. So C is only expression. If you run C, it will say the value 30. But C is equal to A plus B, it's a statement. Okay. But if you're writing only C, then it's expression. For example, you have 10 plus 20, it's expressions. Okay. So if somebody asks you what is the difference between statement and expressions, so statements is a valid line, valid syntax, but after execution of statement, it does not produce any result, any value. Okay, and expressions are those things which can produce the result immediately. So this is the basic difference between expressions and statement. So in the program, basically you're writing multiple statements, you're writing multiple expressions, you're writing multiple statements in the program. And that's what you're going to learn in upcoming session, how to write a statement, like for a statement, which statement. There are so many statements, okay? So that's the purpose of learning program, to how to write a valid statements and writing expressions. So don't worry, we will see that in upcoming session. So right now, just keep in mind what is statement. A statement is any syntax, but it does not produce the result once you run it. And expressions is a syntax which will produce the result. Okay. And expressions, basically, it has a group of operators like plus, minus. So it will contain some operators. Okay. For example, here 10 plus 2. I'm doing plus. It's a plus is an operator. We call it an operator. So this is expression. If you run this, it will produce the result. For example, if I say length Python, length is a function. I will talk about that. If you run this, it will give you result 6. Okay. So something which can produce the result immediately after running it, then it is called what? Statement or expression?
Expression.
Expressions. Okay?
Expression.
Expressions. Yeah. So the whole purpose is what we have to learn how to write expression and statements. Okay. Okay. Now let's do the next topic about comment. Somebody asked me in the previous class, then why we are writing hashes like this. If you see in my notes, I have written multiple hashes. You can see this has, there are so many hashes. Okay. So in Python, there's a purpose of writing hash. So let me explain that. So hash is a kind of, we call it comment. Okay, what is comment? Let me explain that. What is comment? Let's suppose you are writing this piece of code. Okay, somebody, let's suppose there are two persons in a team, person A and person B. Okay, and person A has written some piece of code, some logic. For example, how to add two numbers, how to divide two numbers, some very complex logic. Okay, and this logic is so complex that it's maybe let's suppose second person who joined the team, and he's looking at the code which are written by person A, and person B is trying to understand the code. Okay, so what happened, because code is very complex, generally code is very complex and it has multiple lines. Okay, so because the person B will find difficult to understand the code, because he's a new person, he has no idea about the code who's written by person A. So that's why, to help the person B who's new to team, we write a documentation. What? Documentation. For example, I'm writing this code. For example, A is equal to 10, B, X is equal to something, B is equal to this, I'm doing this. Okay. So here, why I'm writing this code? What is the reason behind it? What is the logic behind it? Okay. So those things you can document in the source code itself. When you are writing the code, in the source code itself, you can write the documentations. So what is documentation? Documentation is just like a user manual. Let's suppose you are using any document. Let's suppose you're using mobile, right? So once you buy the mobile manufacturer, they provide you some documentation. Okay, how to use the mobile, what are the specifications, like that. So every product will come with some specification, they come with some documentation, right? Similarly, here you can relate with that. So once you're writing the piece of code, then you have to write some good documentation to explain the other people. Okay, I'm writing this code, why I'm writing this code, what is the logic behind it, what is the complexity behind it, so that other people can understand your code. Okay, so that's the purpose of documentation. I hope you got my point, why we're writing documentation. So it's a good practice. It is not mandatory, by the way. If you let's suppose as a programmer you miss and you don't writing any documentation, it is perfectly okay. It is not mandatory. Okay, but it's a good practice in a team, in a company, that if you're writing piece of code and if it is very complex, and this is your responsibility to write a good comment, write a good documentation, so that other people who is new, who join the team, he can understand your code. It helps them. Okay, so that's why we write multiple documentation. The purpose of writing documentation is what? To just explain the code, that what are you doing basically, what is the complexity behind it, and why you're writing this logic. So just telling the other people, oh, this is my code, this is the logic, this is the way it's going to work out. Okay, so that's the purpose of documentation. And in the program, we call it comment. What? Comment. So basically writing a comment, okay, and which will help the other people, new people, to understand your piece of code. Okay, now this is the idea about comment. This is the idea about documentation. I hope you got it right. You got the idea why we are writing documentation, why we are writing comment in program.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is why. And how. Now how to write a comment? So it's very simple. Okay, you have to put just hash. There are two approach. One is called single line comment, and another is called multi-line comment. Multi-line. So there are two types of comments you can write in Python program: single line comment and multi-line comment. Okay, as the name says, single line comment. Let's suppose, for example, this one. Okay, I take this example. Okay, let's suppose I'm a programmer. I'm writing this piece of code. Here, I wrote this code. Okay, this code is doing just it is just doing the addition, just adding two numbers, a and b. Okay, this is the purpose of code. Okay, let's suppose I wrote this code. Okay, and now I want to write a comment. I want to write some documentation about it, why I'm writing this code. Okay, so here you can see what is the purpose of this code. The purpose of this code is what? To adding two number, right? That's the logic. So here you can say that this code, this is up to you. How do you write a code, a document? This is up to you. This code is for adding two numbers. I'm just giving some, this is up to you. You have to make a statement, what you want to write. Okay. So you can see here, I'm starting with hash. Okay. If I don't use hash here, then it's a problem. Okay. Then what will happen? The Python will try to, Python will consider that it's a syntax. It's a Python syntax. And if you're not following the rule of Python syntax, then it will say error. Okay, so if you, as soon as you put hash, then it becomes comment. Okay, and the Python, while running the code, Python will ignore this code. Okay, so after compilation, this code is not going to part of bytecode. So Python will, all the comments, all the documentation, if you're running it, when you're executing it, so those codes are ignored by compiler. So compiler will not compile that piece of code, and it will not produce the bytecode. So in the bytecode, only this piece will go as a bytecode, and this piece will not go as a bytecode. Okay, so it is only for reading purpose. The comment is only for reading purpose. So I can write a comment in two ways, either one single line. Let's suppose I write one line. Okay, let's suppose I'm writing second line. So again, I will put hash. This is my second something. You have to write some law, some statements. This is second line, something like that. I'm just putting second line, something like that. Suppose you have to write another new line. Again, you have to put something like this, another something like this, something. You have to give some valid statement. Okay, so in this case, let's suppose you have multiple lines, then each line should start with hash in the beginning. Okay, and these all lines become the comment. They are called comment, and Python is going to ignore this all piece of line. So this line will not execute. Okay, only these piece of line which are not starting with the hash, they will part of the execution. So these will be, so this will execute, and the remaining all the hashes, this will not execute. So the purpose of here is just to tell the user, other people, this is my comment, this is my purpose of writing code. Okay, so this is one approach. Let's suppose you have 5 lines, 6 line, 8 line, 10 line, then you have to put hash in front of each lines. Okay, you got it? But let's suppose I have 20 lines, I have 30 lines. Sometimes it happens, if you have 4 lines, 5 lines, 6 lines, it's okay. It is manageable with single hashes. Just keep writing hash in front of each lines. It is okay. But let's assume you have 20 lines, you have 50 lines. It happens sometimes that if your code is so complex, it's very important piece of code, then you have to write a nice documentation. So it can take 20 lines, 30 lines as well. It is quite possible. Okay, so but for that, let's suppose you have 100 lines or 20 lines. So it's very difficult, right? For each line you have to put hash. Let's suppose you have 100 lines, so you have to put hash 100 times against each line, in front of each line, right? So it is not, I would say you can do that, but it will take a lot of effort. So to avoid that, let's suppose you have multiple lines, so you don't have to put hashes in front of each line. So what you have to do is very simple. So you write all the lines. Let's suppose I'm writing these all my lines, okay? And these are my documents. These are my comments. So how to make it comment? Then what you have to do, basically you just put three quotes, 1, 2, 3, in the beginning and in the last 3 quotes. Okay, so this becomes comment now. So you can see here, you don't have to push hashes, multiple hashes in front of each lines. So just put 3 double quote in the beginning, 3 quote at the end. It will behave like a comment. Okay, so you don't have to put hashes like this. Okay, so there are 2 approaches to write a comment: multi-line comment and single-line comment. In single-line comment, you just put 1 hash in front of each lines, it becomes a comment. But in case you have multiple lines, 20 lines, 50 lines, then you can use multi-line comment. For example, like this, you can see, this is my comment. Okay, I'm putting triple quotes in the beginning, triple quotes and the end. Okay, so this becomes my comment. So this is also comment, and this 1 hash is also comment. So both is considered as a comment. Okay, any doubt here? Anyone?
No,
any doubt? So you can see here, yes, this all piece of code becomes my comment. Okay, if I put 3 double quote, 3 double quote, it becomes a comment. If I remove the comment, then it becomes a valid code. It becomes a Python code, and Python will try to execute it. Okay, but as soon as you put triple double quote, then Python will ignore this. Python will not execute this piece of code. So Python will just ignore this piece of code. Okay, so this is the purpose of documentation and how to write it using single line and multiple line comment. This is all about comments. Okay, so you can see in my notes I have written a lot of comments. Okay, why I'm writing comments? So just a document. So this is just a documentation. This page, this notes is just like a documentation. So whenever in your notes, let's suppose you're writing some piece of code, okay, and you find some insight and you want to put some notes. Let's suppose in this file as well, you just reading something, you find some interesting point, interesting insight, and you want to document that. So you will just create a new line, just put hash, then it becomes a document for you. Okay, so you can use this approach to create your notes, and you can create your own documentation. So that's why I have written a lot of hashes. You can see in this files, in all the files. So this is only for notes purpose. This is only for documentation. Okay, you can see here, this everything is at comment here. If you run this piece of code, nothing will happen. Python will not produce any result. So this will be Python will not execute this piece of code. Okay, so that's the purpose of the comment. I hope you get it.
Sir,
yes.
For writing any program, comment is important, right, sir?
Yeah, comment, it is not mandatory, by the way, okay, but as a programmer, it's a good practice to write some comment, so that a new person, or even you, let's suppose you wrote a piece of code, okay, and after 2 months you are visiting the same code and you have no idea why you wrote this code in 2 months back or 1 year back, right? So this comment will help you to understand, okay, I wrote this code because of this purpose, because of this logic. So this is only helping you as a document. It is helping you. Okay, so this is up to you. How do you write a comment? How do you write a documentation? This is up to you. This is totally depends upon your ability. How good and how nice document you can write. This totally depends upon you. Okay. Okay. Now let's move to next topic. Is about, okay. So this is about expression, statement, and comment. Okay. Indentation and block I will talk about later. But now let's move to data type. Okay, so this is a very important topic in any language, not only Python, any language. If you really want to master any language, then you have to be very good in the data types. Okay, because everything is a data. As a programmer, you have to understand the data types in Python, in all languages. So in Python, there are 2 types of data types. What is data types? Data types is just like a data. For example, integer data, float data, decimal data, negative data, positive data. There are some data. Okay, so how to deal with data? Let's suppose I have integers, I have a float, I have a complex number, I have a Boolean number, then how to deal with the data. So this topic is all about to understand the data types in Python and how to deal with it, how to do operation on the data. Okay, so all the theory is based on the data. So in Python, there are two types of data type. One is called fundamental, one is called derived. Okay, there are two types, fundamental and derived. So, okay, let me explain what is the basic difference between fundamental and derived. When you will use fundamental and when you will use derived. Okay, so this logic should be very clear. In what situation I should think about fundamental data type, and in what situation I should think about derived data type. Okay, okay. Let's suppose you have two numbers. Okay, number A, number B. You have to suppose 10 and 20. Okay, and you want to add these two numbers. Okay, so here, because I have an individual number, I have a 110, I have 120. They are single number. One is 10, one is 20. So whenever you find that there is single data, okay, whenever there is a single data, you have to work with single data. In that case, you have to use fundamental. Single data. For example, here, for example, see, A is equal to 10. How many data are there? Only one data. A is holding just one data, right? So A is a container which is holding just single data, which is 10. X is a container which is holding only single data, which is 78. Okay, so in that circumstances where you have your containers are holding single data. Okay, I repeat, if your containers, your variables are holding single data, in that case you have to use fundamental. That's why it is called fundamental. It's a fundamental, it's a basic fundamental. So in this case, you have to deal with single data. Okay, and let's suppose in the second case, derived case, let's suppose in a classroom, there's a classroom. In a classroom, there are 50 students. Okay, and each student has gained some marks. Let's suppose mathematics marks. Okay, and in program, I want to store all the 50 marks in the program. I have a 50 student in this classroom, and each student has some marks, some numbers, and I want to store these all 50 marks in my program. So how will you do that? Okay, so the approach number one is what? You can create 50 variables. Student ST1 marks is equal to 900, ST2 mark is equal to 800, something like that. So this way you have to go till 100 student. Okay, and this way you have to create 100 variables. You can see that it's a pain, right? To creating 100 variables to store the 100 marks, it is not optimized, it is not optimal. Okay, so in that case, if you want to store multiple data in the same container, okay, in that case you can use derived data type. For example, list. So list is a kind of derived data type. So how I can create multiple data, I will talk about that. So this is the way, this is the approach. I can create multiple data here, like I'm storing multiple data like this here, something like that. Okay, so you can see here in this variable, I have stored 4 data, 900, 900, 600, 700. Okay, so in that case, if you want to store multiple data in the same container, then you have to use derived data type. I hope you get it, right? So fundamental, when you have to see ST2 is a fundamental. So when you have single data to store in a container, in a variable, then you have to deal with fundamental. Okay, and when you have multiple data to deal with in a same container, in a same variable, then you have to use derived data type. So these are the fundamental difference between fundamental and derived, and the use case, when to use fundamental and when to go with derived. Any doubt here? The context, I'm just putting the context here. Any doubt in understanding the context? In what context I should use fundamental and in what context I should use derived? So this part is clear?
Sir, this is Sunil.
Yes,
Just one time, sir, about that yes, student one that is given. Just explain the derived. I have idea some about the derived quantities, so I can unable understand this, sir. Please explain once.
You couldn't understand that, okay?
Yes.
Okay, so okay, I gave example. Let's suppose they are. Okay, let's suppose there are in a company there is 100 employees. Okay, and each employee has a salary. Okay. So in Excel sheet, let's suppose in Excel sheet, you are working with Excel, you can relate with the Excel sheet. So let's suppose in the Excel sheet, you have to store employee data and 100 salaries. Okay, 100 salaries. So how will you achieve that in Excel sheet? You have to create multiple rows, right? Salary, employee one, there will be one column salary, one column for salary, and multiple rows for EMP1 salary is this, EMP2 salary is this, EMP3 salary is this, right? So here you can notice you are dealing with multiple data, right? There's no single, it's a multiple data, it's a multiple salary, it can be 1,000 salaries, it can be 2,000, that depends. Okay, so now things in terms of programming. Okay, so in Excel sheet you have to create multiple rows, right? To store the salary, let's suppose 100 salary, you have to create at least 100 rows in the Excel sheet. There will be one column, but there will be 100 rows, right? Now in program, let's suppose I want to store this 100 rows in program in a variable, because you have to use variable, right? That's the only container that you can put the data. So let's suppose I want to store 100 employee data as a salary, then how you can progress? What can you approach? Whatever understanding you have so far. So I as of now, what you have understanding about variables, right? That you know the variables. So in the variable, you store the data, right? That's what you know as of now, isn't it? Okay. So let's suppose I want to store 100 employee data. So what you will do? You will create 100 variables. EMP1 is equal to something, EMP2 something like that, right? So creating 100 variables to store 100 data is not optimal. It will take a lot of time. First of all, it's very painful to typing the 100 variables, okay? And to maintaining it, it's not easy, right? Are you getting this, Sunil?
Yes, I am getting, sir.
So okay. How to avoid this? Instead of creating 100 variables to 100 data, is it possible to create one variable, okay, in just one container? In the one container, I can put all the balls. Let's assume that there's a bucket, okay? In single bucket, you're putting a lot of balls. So one bucket is containing more than one data, more than one ball.
Yes.
So in that case, you have to think about it's a derived. If one bucket is containing one ball, it's a fundamental.
Yes.
Okay. If one bucket is containing more than one ball, multiple balls, then it's a derived. It's very simple.
Yes, sir.
Got it? So in this case, I have to use a list. I will talk about what is a list. So let's suppose I want to put multiple salary. So like this, you can put multiple salary. It is called list in Python. Okay. So here container is same. In the same container, bucket is single bucket. I am putting 4 balls of 4 salaries. Okay. So this is the use case where you have to think about when to use fundamental and when to derived. So in derived case, it always hold multiple data, multiple balls. Bucket is single bucket, but it has multiple balls inside it. Okay, then it is a derived case. In fundamental case, bucket is single, but the data is also single. Single bucket, single data. It's called fundamental. It is clear? Okay.
Yes.
So now I talk about the fundamental first, okay? Then I will talk about derived, okay? So fundamental has mainly int, float, complex, boolean, string, and none, okay? So guys, you have to memorize, okay? You have to remember this all fundamental. What is int, what is float, what is complex, what is boolean, what is string, what is none. I will talk about one by one, but these are the fundamental list, okay? So fundamental int, float, complex, boolean, string, and none. These are the fundamental, okay? And in derived, we have a list, tuple, dictionary, range, bytes array, set, frozen set. So these are in derived. But for data science project, only list, tuple, dictionary, range, and set. These are only important. Okay, bytes array are not important for us. Frozen set. So I will talk about only list, tuple, dictionary, range, and set. Okay, this much pretty you much require for data engineering, for data science. Okay, and fundamental you should know everything. Okay, so let me talk about fundamental first. Fundamental is called integers. Okay, in maths you might have used in the mathematics you might have used integer number, right? You know what is the concept of integer number. So integer numbers is like a whole number. It's a complete number. Okay. Any real number. Okay. Any real number without any decimal point. Ganesh, can you do mute? It is creating problem. Okay. So integers are you can relate with the mathematics over here. Okay. It's just like a mathematics.
Natural number.
Yeah, natural number.
Natural
Like
number.
natural number. Okay. So
Natural number,
any real number, natural number without fraction, without decimal point. Okay. For example, it can be positive and negative both. For example, 10 minus 10, it can be 0 as well. Okay. So all the positive number, all the positive integers, negative integers, including 0, are called integers in Python. Okay. And how to create integers is very simple. Just create a variable name, container name, equal, and assign that data. For example, a is equal to 10, b is equal to 10, something like that. Okay. For example, here, let's suppose I want to create one integer number. That is very simple, very straightforward. Suppose a is equal to, it's a variable number, and a is equal to 90. Okay. So this 90 is an integer data type. It can be any number, 90, whatever, whole number, only natural number, whole number, without any fraction. Okay. So this becomes my integer number. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. In Python, there's a concept of, okay. So let's suppose this a is a variable. Some noise, yes. Ganesh, I think because of Ganesh is getting noise. So please mute yourself. Ganesh, yeah, please keep muted. Yeah. So a is equal to 90. Okay. So it's a type, it's an integer type. Okay. Now in Python, if you want to verify, if you want to cross check that what a is containing, what the data type a is holding. Okay. So for that, there's a function called type. Remember, okay, type function. Okay. So just say type parenthesis and type here a, the variable name. Okay. And put this inside the print like this. So anyone joined from laptop? Anyone has laptop right now? Okay, so what I'm doing here, let me again print. So I'm using print function first. Sunil, okay. So print, okay, parenthesis, okay. And inside the print, use type function, type, okay. And then parenthesis, okay. And pass variable a. Okay, so this type function is a very special function in Python. It tells you what is the data type of variable a. Okay, if you want to understand what is the data type, you can use type function. If you run this, it will say it's int type. You can say class is int. Okay, so type is an inbuilt function which tells you what is the data type. Let's suppose if I use a is equal to b is equal to minus 90. Okay, and I want to check what is the type of b as well. So you can say print type and b. Okay, it will say what it should say. It should say int, right? We'll see both is int. Whether it's a positive, negative, both are int. You can see here it is printing class. Let me talk about what is class here. Okay, it says it's a class. Okay. So here, see, here both are different data. 90 and minus 90 are both are different data. It can be 900, it can be anything. It will remain the same int. Okay, though the data are different. Okay, you can see the 90 and minus 9,000 data are different. But for the same data, for the both data, it is saying that type is int. Okay, so why it is saying int? There's a concept of class. You know what is class? So, okay, so there's a two concepts. One is the class and one is the object. One is a class concept and one is called object. Okay, so in any program, maybe in Java, every program has this concept. What is the class concept and what is the object concept? So let me give some real-time example. What is class and what is object? Let's suppose there are two persons. For example, Ganesh and Sunil. Okay, Ganesh has some different attributes. His look and feel, his education background is totally different. And Sunil is also come from different background. He's a different skill set, different things, different qualifications. Both Ganesh and Sunil are different object. So this is called object, okay? Because every object has two things. One is called attributes, and one is called behavior. It is also called function, okay? Behavior is also called function. So every object has attributes and some behavior. Okay. Now think about in this term. Suppose Ganesh. Okay. So Ganesh might have some different attributes. Its height, its weight, its attributes, and Ganesh should have some own behavior, like how he thinks, how he eats, how he walk is different. And the same thing Sunil. Sunil can have some different attributes. Its height, weight will be different, and Sunil can have its own behavior, how he think, how he perceive, different, right? So these all objects have different attributes and different behaviors, right? But these all objects, for example, Ganesh, Sunil, both are different objects. Their attributes, behavior, the way of thinking, the way of eating is different, right? But both belongs to same class, which is humans. We all are humans, right? We can say that Ganesh is a human, and Rajesh is a human, and Vijay is a human. We can say that, right? I can make this statement, right? This statement is valid, right? I'm a human. Rajesh is a human. Ganesh is a human. Sunil is a human, right? So we all belong to same class, which is human class, right? But we have different set of attributes. Though we belong to same class, our class is same, but our attributes, our way of thinking, our behaviors are different, isn't it? Right? So though objects can be different, but they still belong to same class. So this is the concept of class and object. So here 90 and minus 9,000, okay, both are different data, both are different object. I can say 90 is a one object and minus 9,000 is a one object. So both are two different objects, but both objects belonging to same class, which is int class. Now, are you able to relate this? What is a class and object? Let's suppose if I say C is equal to 0. Okay. So again, these are three different data sets. 90 is a different data, minus 9,000, 0. These are three different objects. But these all objects belong to same class. They are int class. Okay. So this is the class is kind of category. It is just like a classification. Okay. So, okay. So I can say that Rajesh is a human, but I cannot say that dog is a human. Can I say that? It's a valid statement, dog is a human? No, right? Dog is a what? Animal. So dog, cat belong to animal class. And we all belong to human class. So animal is one classification. Okay, it's one category. And human is another classification. It's another category. Okay, so with the help of class, we can categorize the objects. So let's suppose there are multiple breed of dogs. So all the multiple dogs, they have different breeds, but they all belong to same class, which is animal class. Example, similarly, we all humans are different, but we all belong to same class, humans. So you can say animal is one class, human is another class. There can be multiple classes. Okay. So with the help of classes, we can categorize, we can classify different objects. We can group all the different objects into one class. Okay. I hope you're getting this, right? You are not able to relate this. What is class object? Any doubt here? What I'm trying to explain?
No doubt. Clear, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
So though data can be different, these all are different data set. Objects, they are object. It is called objects. 900, these are objects. Okay. Objects are different. Their values are different, but they all objects belong to same class, which is int class. Got this? Let's suppose if I'm writing like this, let's suppose now I'm writing one more variable. Let's suppose D is equal to fraction 8.9. Okay. If I say print the type of D, okay. So here, okay, this spelling mistake, TYPE. Okay. So here A and B, though data set are different, but A and B belongs to same class, which is int class. Okay. But D belongs to int class? What do you think? Is the class of A and class of D are both same or it's different? What can be the result? is the class of A and the class of D.
Different.
It could be different because A belongs to int class and D belongs to float class. If you run this, it would say it's a class of float. See the float. Okay. So the first two data, though the objects are different, but they belong to same class, int class. But this data, it belongs to different class, which is float class. Okay. So this is the concept of class and object in any program. This is not only with Python. This is applied to all programming language. It may be Java, it may be C++, C#. So this is the basic idea about class and object, any program, okay? So objects can be different. They have different attribute, different behavior, but different objects can belong to same class, okay? Any questions? Okay, so this type will help you. Type function is an inbuilt function. It will help you to figure out what is the type of the container. This container is holding what kind of data type. It's an int type, it's a float type. So type is very useful function. Okay, you can use a type function. So right now you understand two functions. One is the print function, okay, and one is the type function. You got it? Okay, so Sunil, I think you're joining from laptop, right? You have a laptop right now? Sunil, are you there? I think you're on mute. I'm audible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I mean,
Okay.
from the laptop, sir.
So have you logged in from your Google Colab notebook? It is open or you have to open it? It is already open in your laptop?
Just now I had to open that, but
okay, don't worry. So leave it. Leave
yes,
it.
yes, sir.
Okay, so you can try this syntax. Okay, just write one A is equal to something and try print type this. Okay, to try to print out the type of function, type of this variable. Okay,
sir, I have to open my Colab or
Google
my,
Colab.
Okay.
Okay, so guys, I
Okay,
want
okay.
one thing. Whenever the class starts, so before starting the class, please come with Google Colab notebook open.
Okay.
Okay, so I can give assignment on the fly. I can give some exercises. So please come with your Google Colab should be open. Okay, so type is a very good function to tell you what is the data type of that variables. Okay,
so just I open that. That is in open condition.
Okay.
Now I can write that.
So can you do one thing? Can you just write a variable, create some variable and show the type of that variable?
Okay.
You can share your screen. Let me allow you. Yeah, you can share your screen. So create some variable with integer value, and I want to see the type of this data. What is the data type of that variable? So can you do it fast?
Okay, sir. This is my okay.
Yes, yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, create one variable. A is equal to something. Okay. Now I want to see the type of this variable. How can you do that? Type you type type. First use print. No, spelling is mistake. Print.
Okay.
print.
Okay.
This small thing is very important. It seems very easy, but it's very important. Type A. Yes. Pass A. Yeah. You can run this. Yeah, it will take some time initially. So make sure you come with open Google Colab notebook and try to run one cell, okay? Before joining the class, run one cell because initially it takes some time. Yeah, now connected. You can say it is printing int class, okay?
Yes.
So here you will learn print function and type function. How to use type function and how to use print function, okay? Okay.
Yes.
You can stop your sharing now. Yeah, stop your sharing. Okay, just stay there. Don't stop. Okay. Don't stop. Okay. So as I told you, just create one more thing. B is equal to 5. Take another variable. B is equal to 5. No, same there. The same cell. Don't create new cell in the same cell. Go top. create b is equal to 5. And again type print of 5. Print type 5. So what should be the type? It will say what? Int, right? You can run this. Yeah, just run this.
Okay.
Run this. Okay, so both belong to same class. Okay, int class.
Yes,
okay,
yes,
though data is
yes,
different, but they both belong to same class. Okay. Now, as I told you that this 2 and 5 is what? Object. Okay, the data 2 and 5 is an object. Okay, and they belong to same class, which is int. This understanding is clear, everyone?
Yes.
This is my statement that 2 and 5 are two different data, two different objects. Okay, but they belong to same class int. Okay. As I told you that every object has attributes and behavior. Okay, if something is object in program, anyone in real, if you relate with a real case, if something is object, so object has some properties, some behavior, something. I mean, object has something hidden in that, inside it. Okay, it can be property, it can be behavior. Okay, so here 2 and 5 are object. We know that this is my statement. So if 2 and 5 are object, it means it should hold something. It should have some properties and behavior. This is my statement, right? But this is my statement that every object has some property and behavior. This is my statement. So how to prove this? Just write a statement there. Just write a comment. Okay, Sunil, just put a comment. Just put hash. Write a hash. Right, every object has some property and behavior. Yeah, this is your comment. Okay, every object has properties and behavior. Properties and behavior. Okay, so this is my statement. Now, how to prove this statement? Okay, so in order to prove this statement, Python has given you a special function. Okay, this is called dir function. Okay, so Sunil, below the print type B, write a new statement. Below the second print, just write a new statement. Yeah, write print parenthesis, write dir. Okay, parenthesis A, type A there. Okay, again repeat the same thing for B, print dir B. dir B. Okay, so this is a special function in Python. Okay, dir. Okay, so dir function will tell you all the property behaviors which are hidden inside the object. Okay, if you run this, can you run this, Sunil, please? Okay, see here. You can see the dir function is printing two statement. Okay, you can see that. If you compare for both A and B, the data will be same. Can you just scroll? Can you scroll horizontally? There's a horizontal scroll bar. You will just go right side. You can see both having printing the same, exactly ditto, right? Same thing.
Okay.
Right, you can see that. Exactly same. Go till the end. Just go till end. Go. Okay, so this is exactly same. Okay, so these all list that you're seeing here, these all attributes and behaviors. Okay, though A and B, you can see A and B are different objects. A has a different value, B has different value, both are different objects, but the both object having the same attributes and behavior. Okay, these are some attributes and behavior. So whenever you want to find out all the properties and behavior which are hidden inside any variables, inside any data type, you have to use this function called dir. What? dir function. Okay, so this will tell you all the properties and behavior inside the object. For example, here you can say it has conjugate, it has denominator, it has from bytes, image, img, imaginary number, numerator, real number, 2 bytes. Okay, and if you go in the beginning, can you go in the beginning? There's something, a special function which having underscore abs underscore. Okay, so these are the special functions, the special attributes which are used by Python. Okay, so whenever you see underscore something underscore beginning and the end, it's a special thing which are used internally by Python only. So you are not supposed to use these things. So that's why I told in the identifier, don't create any identifier with underscore in the beginning and the end. Okay, because it's a special meaning for Python. So these all things like are using, it's an internal attribute which are used by Python. So as a programmer, you are not supposed to use it. Okay, don't try to use it. It's an internal call. It's an internal attributes. Okay, but apart from this other one, which is having no underscore that you can use as a programmer. You can use, you can call it. Okay, for example, can you show me? Can you? No, can you scroll? Just horizontally scroll it.
Okay.
See, there's something you can see. Go to the last. You can see. So something that, for example, conjugate. You can see there's no underscore, right? Imaginary, numerator, real number. There's no. These are not special. So, for example, numerator. Okay, you can use numerator. You can use real. Okay. So let's try to use numerator. Okay. So how to use it? Okay. So these are all the properties. Okay. These are the property and behavior. So it can be either properties, it can be either behavior. I don't know. Okay. So how to use it? So now go to in that cell. Okay. Otherwise, okay. Go to that cell. And below print, create another print. Okay. Parenthesis. Okay. Now let's suppose I want to use a. So use a dot. Okay, and if you want to call any property, you can see it is showing all the properties automatically. Okay, for example, I want to use numerator. So can you use numerator? Just type numerator, it will come. Just you can select from there as well. You don't have to type. Otherwise, you okay, numerator. Okay, just run it. It will show the numerator. I think spelling is wrong. RATOR, numerator, I think TOR, it should be TOR. Let me try this. Okay, it got 2. Okay, so here, what is A? Can you show me the A? A is a 2, right? So, okay, now think about from mathematics. For this A2, what is the numerator? You know what is numerator? In mathematics?
No, it is 2 by 1, nothing but the 2.
2 by 1. So 2 is the numerator, right? So it is printing to numerator. So similarly, there are a lot of attributes available. You can call all the attributes. Okay. So, so dir function will tell you all the attributes which are hidden inside your object. You can use it. Okay. So you can use other attributes as well. Okay. Okay. So you're gonna stop your sharing now, Neil. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay. So in this section, you saw what is type function. It tells you all the data types, the type of data. Okay. And dir function tell you all the hidden attributes and behavior. Okay. For example, it has bit length, conjugate, denominator is there, numerator is there. There are some different attributes. You can use it. Okay. You can see here I'm using, this is my a variable. I'm using a.real. It will see the real number. You can use bit length. So you can do practice. Okay. These all things are there. You can do practice. Okay. Conjugate and numerator, denominator. These are some attributes. Okay. So tomorrow I will do some practice. So please go through these notes, integers, and so just practice type function. Okay, and dir function. Okay, and the dir, if you find these all attributes and try to use it, see what happens. Okay. try to use it, these functions. Okay, so this is about int. So int important thing is what? Type function and dir function and all the attributes and how to use it. Okay, so this is pretty much about the int data type. Any doubt? Any confusion so far?
No.